And let's see, Melanie Chong, I hope I have that right. Welcome. And who else is a guest? Yolanda, of course. But, and Laraya. So we have a number of guests already, and I am going, oh, Vanessa, I think also is a guest. So we're going to turn this meeting over to our wonderful Toastmaster of the day. Oh, Lindy McLean. I'm going, who's the Toastmaster? Ta-da! Welcome, Lindy.
Thank you, Emmy, and welcome everyone. I'm so glad that each and every one of you is here. Now, how many of you know that humor is a helpful tool? Yes. Now, how many of you feel confident that you know how to be humorous? a half a hand, maybe? All right, well, this is why we're all here today. We have the pleasure of having an excellent presenter, someone who is, I think, has a very natural funny bone. However, she's also good at teaching humor, which is wonderful for us. Yolanda hails from the state of Texas. She has brought her humor to us before in The Greatest Show, among other things. So we're familiar with her bright and appealing manner as she presents. She's got all kinds of presentation experience. And this humor presentation is adding to her long list of accomplishments already. So with no further ado, I want you to help me welcome with her presentation called Laugh and the World Laughs with You, Yolanda Bynum.
Is that what I called it? It's okay. We can go with that. This is what's funny. I have had the wonderful privilege of sharing this particular presentation in some way, shape, or form multiple times over the past 2-3 weeks, which I absolutely love. So just pretend that's what it says there on the screen. Formally presenting me, meaning you, humorously. How to do humor humorously. The one thing that I love about this crowd is you guys all said you already know the importance of humor. So half the job is done. I will recap a couple of those points. There may be some things that you hear that you already know. That's okay. It's okay. Consider it relearning. There's some things that you may not know. And if you have questions along the way, please feel free to raise your hand. I'm okay with that. If I don't see a hand, Lindy, I know will help me out. Abhijit, I know that you guys will help me out to make sure that I don't miss anyone. We're already starting with a little bit of the humor I heard as I was joining. You can see the reason why I did not have an opportunity to join earlier. It was my 13-year-old pulling on my coattails, telling me that he was hungry again. If you have teenagers, if you've ever been a teenager, you know that's when they eat the most. That's when the growth spurts happen and so forth. Interestingly enough, the two quotes at the bottom here are quotes that I have used in presentations. It's among my favorite quotes. I've done this stuff. The next time a stranger talks to you when you're alone, just look at them shocked and go, you can see me? I do that to my 13-year-old all the time. I did it to my younger kids when they were younger, all the time. They would walk in and go, Mom, I need something. You can see me? That experiment didn't work. What's going on here? I do it all the time. And wait, I gotta go back to the other one. They said never give up on your dreams, so I went back to sleep. I said that to my boss once. She didn't think it was funny, but that's okay. I was a hit with the rest of the group that was attending at 6 a.m. If you don't want me to be funny, don't wake me up at 6 a.m. But this is the type of thing that we're going to talk about, okay? Let's go through the agenda. Again, you guys already know the importance of adding humor. We're going to touch through those points really, really fast for those that may not know. For those that just raised their hand because they didn't want to be left out, I do that all the time. I did it at school, I get it. But we're going to touch through those points really quickly. If you're thinking to yourself, I'm not funny, we're going to talk about it. I included you. We are. Next, we're going to talk about presenting you humorously. You may be a wonderful presenter, but you may be wondering, how do I do that? How do I present myself in a humorous way? And there's a way that you can do that. We're going to talk about timing. My son walked in at a very interesting time. We're going to talk about the timing, what I did to actually, I used him in a very, non-shameful way to add humor, just in case you guys were watching, just so it wouldn't be uncomfortable. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about using humor in not so humorous situations. It can happen. Going to talk about the best way to do that. And then we're going to wrap up with, can I say that? You may be wondering to yourself, are there moments where I shouldn't use humor? Are there moments when I shouldn't use a type of humor? We're going to talk about that as well. So why add humor? Once again, I'm going to step through these points really, really quickly because you guys already said, you already know why it's important. But just in case you need a recap, it engages your audience. You also create a bond and a rapport with the audience when you do it. Now, I've had some people say, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. How can humor possibly do that? In every single solitary workshop that I've ever done, where I'm talking about creating a bond or a rapport with the audience, engaging your audience, using humor with your audience, I always ask them midway through my presentation, how many of you knew me before I walked in the room? And most of the time, some do, but some don't. And then I ask them, how many of you would go out to dinner with me or take me out to dinner right after this? Every single one of them always raises their hand. It just creates a natural bond and a rapport with your audience when you use some sort of lighthearted humor. I guarantee you. It keeps them engaged and it also keeps them energized. Laugh and the whole world laughs with you. Cry, try laughing again. Don't cry, don't cry. Try laughing again. But it keeps them engaged and it keeps them energized. It keeps the energy in the room when you are laughing. Nobody wants to be in a presentation where the presenter is frowning, you're thinking I could have called this in. So yeah, use humor for that reason. And it also creates a relaxed atmosphere. It's an inviting atmosphere. It's an atmosphere where you're going to want to be. And it is the most conducive for listening, learning, and receiving. I have an autistic son, and 90% of what I am saying to him, he is not processing because his brain processes things very differently. It's a disability that really does impact him socially. So you saw what I did with him. You guys got to see it in real time. I used humor with him. When I muted and I closed off my mic, my fiance was saying he's going to teach him how to cook chicken. He's 13. So I off camera said, is he planning on getting a job at Kentucky Fried Chicken? Why are we teaching him how to cook? He's 13. Just fix the baby some food. And he's like, I'm teaching him how to fish. Let me handle this. I'm going to teach him how to fish. He'll never run out of fish. And I'm like, he's 13, baby. He's got time. He's like, now I'm starting him early because who knows? I may want him to cook dinner tomorrow night. And then my 13-year-old is cracking up. I'm marrying a poet and a guy who is also humorous. So now my 13-year-old is going, I'm not fixing dinner. And, so now it's a humorous thing. My son, who wouldn't normally want to cook, now he wants to cook. Now he's laughing. Again, it just opens up the environment. So definitely utilize your humor everywhere you can. Now, if you're thinking, Yolanda, I'm not funny. Is there anybody on the call that thinks they're not funny? And I see, really? I see a ton of you. Are you serious? Okay. I know some funny people on here. That's great. That's great. Okay. I met up with a bunch of you guys on calls and I heard some humor. So that's interesting. But yes, you are. Every single person is funny. And they're funny when they don't have to worry about judgment or fear. The two places that everyone is funny is in the shower, because no one's watching. So you'll sing that song, you'll do that dance. If you fall, you don't care. Whatever happens in the shower stays in the shower. It's natural. And number two, when you are around family and friends, because you're not worried about your family or your friends judging you. Or if you're with a friend at a restaurant, you naturally try to be engaging and funny. You crack jokes. You talk about something that you saw. You always want to bring fun into the picture. Well, part of funny, it's fun. It's the same dynamic, exactly the same dynamic. So we're all funny in some way, shape, or form. But you may be thinking, okay, I'm funny, but I may need a little help in the funny department. I'm glad you asked. Very glad you asked. Now, let's look at some ways that we can pull funny into everyday conversations, into presentations, into speeches. Find some. Find some funny. And if you're thinking, where am I supposed to find some funny? Create some. Google is the best thing ever. Go to Google and Google whatever it is you're trying to be funny about. If you're trying to be funny about the Olympics, then Google funny memes about the Olympics. You will spend the next half hour laughing. Google jokes about the Olympics. Google funny images about the Olympics, but there is always something funny out there. So if you can't find some, create some. If you can't create some, reinvent the wheel and go see what other people have said about the Olympics. And this can apply to any topic there is. There is no topic off the table. Now, you actually sharing what you found may be off the table, but you alone sitting there with Google, Googling some jokes, every single meme that you see, every single funny thing that you see me embedding in my presentation, I have found on the internet. I know how to create images and so forth, but again, why reinvent the wheel? Also, you can tell some jokes. I always have 2 jokes in my pocket, regardless of any and everywhere I go. And both jokes are corny. They are extremely corny. They're not supposed to be serious because the whole purpose is for you to build rapport with the people that you're talking to. So I don't find serious jokes. I always find really, really corny off the wall jokes. Like if God is in the cloud in heaven, why aren't his feet hanging down from the clouds? That's a corny joke. It is a very, very corny joke, but it gets people smiling. And for the people that don't smile, they're thinking to themselves, why aren't his feet hanging down? Well, now that you said, why aren't his feet hanging down from the clouds? So it's okay to find a joke or two and include that in your presentation. And lastly, consider those that are both visual and auditory when you have an audience. So you will notice I have both words and images for those that need to connect with the funny in many different kinds of ways. Any questions so far? No questions. Coolio. Now, let's talk about presenting you humorously, especially for those individuals that think that they are not funny, okay? And I love this meme. I found it on the internet. Just a reminder that Prince said first, well, I can't be played. A person trying to play me plays themselves. I thought that that was completely hilarious. Now, some people may not be able to connect with that humor, and that's okay, because I'm smiling at it. I think it's hilarious. And for some reason, me thinking it's hilarious, looking at Prince and saying, look at that face. If the humor is not funny, the face that he's making is funny, like, excuse me, baby doll. I don't get played. Come on, it's funny. And then those that weren't smiling before are smiling now. It's just an automatic. So you see, it works. So first, we have to figure out what your style is. Everybody has a particular style. And usually people think that they're not funny because they're trying to adapt to a style that doesn't fit them. So my funny, I'll tell you what my style of funny is as we go through it. But I have a very particular style of funny, and people assume I can't be funny like her. No, you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be funny like you. So we need to figure out what your style is. And then once we know what your style is, we gonna work that thing. This is what we're gonna do. So now let's find out what your style is. Well, first, is there anybody that knows what their style is? Anybody at all? No, at all? But cool. Okay, so let's test it. Terry, what's your style?
I know what my style isn't.
Is it?
I
What is
don't
it?
like the Laurel and Hardy kind of stuff. I don't like the messes that they make and call it funny.
And they do. They make a lot of mistakes on the screen. They do. So you are not slapstick. Got it. And we're gonna
No,
look
and
at
I'm not, what's the word for it? Anyway, I'm not fancy about it.
she's not fancy. There is a name for it. We're gonna go through it. And Michael.
I like to tell personal stories and then disparage myself a bit during the personal stories.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they relate to what other people experience too. And because I'm disparaging myself, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to see that particular style. So you're going to know your style immediately when we see it. Immediately. Anybody else who knows exactly what their style is? Oh, this is cool. So as we go through the list, take a look at it. And if you think, yep, that's definitely my style. Somebody said something funny in the comments. I know they did because people are laughing. What'd they say? What'd they say? They said
Puns.
Camille says she likes puns.
puns. We're going to see that on here. Cool. Camille, put that feather in your cap. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. Why don't I see a Camille on the whole screen? Oh, because I can't see everybody yet. I thought I could see everybody. Oh, there's Camille. Thank you. Camille's got the funny frogs. Never mind. I should have seen that at first. I see you now, Camille. Cool beans. So now we're going to step through the different kinds of styles. So the first one, of course, is the one that, she doesn't like. Physical or slapstick. So this style of humor, of course, involves physicality. It's where they fall. So you look at clowns and mimes, and they use themselves in order to convey the humor. So if you use your body as part of a body language type of speech, and it involves any sort of, I slap myself in the face, something that really does involve you using your whole body, you're using physical humor or slapstick. Keep that one in mind. Next, the one that Michael was talking about, self-deprecating or sarcastic or satirical. So these are the ones where, this is what stand-up comics often do. They often poke fun at themselves in order to be humorous. They make themselves the butt of the joke, but they're rewarded with laughs. And it is a style that is very popular on the internet. That is where people do they put themselves out there. So this person fell clearly, and somebody made a meme out of it. When people ask me how life is going, that is self-deprecating. He's basically making himself the butt of the joke. Next is deadpan or dry humor. This is the one where there's they deliver it with a straight face and a neutral tone. And I talked about this at the previous workshop, where it can be hilarious if you deliver it correctly. So if you're not the smiley, giggly type, but you still want to be humorous, you can. That is a particular style. And there's ways to work that. I didn't put how to work these particular styles in here, but I absolutely can bring that in later or talk about it if someone has a question about it specifically. But yeah, that's definitely a style, and I've seen it work. I've seen it go to district. I've seen someone win the humorous speech contest at the district level with that deadpan and dry humor. Whole time, never broke a smile, but people in the audience were cracking up. First thing out of his mouth, with his hands in his pockets, not moving. I guess my job here today is to make everybody laugh. As you can see, I'm already on the job right here when it comes to myself. Right here, buddy. I'm here to make you laugh. I mean, people are already laughing. They don't even know why they're laughing in the audience, but they started laughing and then said, and I asked my wife if I was funny. And she said, no, honey, I mean, only when I look at you are you funny. And all of a sudden he said they started laughing. They started laughing, like hilariously. So he said, I had a split thought, Yolanda, as wow, that really was funny. And wait a minute, they're laughing at me. So it was hilarious. That was his next line is, wait a minute. I know I'm supposed to be funny, but now you guys are laughing at me. And again, he never cracked a smile. It's very dry, but it worked. Next is going to be surreal. Surreal is a type of humor that can be kind of weird. It is thinking of illogical, absurd, situations that may happen, very nonsensical. So think Monty Python. Those are very satirical type of situations, but they're also very serious and surreal, but they make jokes out of it. So it is illogical for someone to carry a man on his shoulders, but you'll see a lot of that in Monty Python. It's illogical for people to carry, men by their legs and their arms, but you see a lot of that. For men to go to war with only a banana, but you see a lot of that. So surreal type of humor uses the type of humor that, it's illogical. It's illogical. Again, if you need a few more examples of that, Monty Python was the best one that I could think of, but it works because Monty Python is very, very, very popular. Any questions about those styles before I go to the next set of styles? Because that is not all. No? Cool. All right. Next. This is me on day 79. I had to put my picture up there. That's exactly what I did. I moved my bed to the couch, cut down on my commute, having to go all the way to the bedroom, and I lost my clothes after 50 days. It's a running joke. I stopped getting dressed for meetings. I literally, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. You're here for humor. Improvisation, comedy without a plan. So this is the whose line is it anyway type of humor where they give them something off the cuff. It's like a table topic where you don't even know what's coming, but you improvise at the last minute. This is part of my comedy style. Or humorous style. I don't expect it. I don't try to expect it. I'm off the cuff a good chunk of the time because it keeps me sharp. So this style, the fact that you know that the person is making the jokes on the spot makes this style of comedy even funnier and even more impressive because, again, you're giving that funny off the cuff. Now, I'm positive that people have practiced this. They just don't know they're practicing it. They don't know it. So if your friend says something to you and you immediately come back with something that is hilarious, you're practicing improvisation and you don't even know it. So practice it just like a table topic. If somebody says something funny, say something funny back. People see me use it all the time. I just did it when I talked about this meme. I moved my bed to the couch. Please don't expect any more from me than this, basically. So that was off the cuff. It's improving based upon the picture that I'm seeing. I didn't practice that, but anybody can do it. Next, you're using wit or wordplay. That's the other one that we were talking about earlier. This is where that wit, the wordplay comes in. This is one where you're being clever. You're using puns. And my wit is different than most people's wit. I would be interested in Camille. Camille, can you come off of mute and give us an example of your pun? This is gonna be cool.
I don't like to tell jokes to cattle because they've heard it all.
Take that everywhere you go on the road. Everybody is smiling and laughing at that. That is a pun. Wit. My 13-year-old is brilliant at wit. I told him, sweetheart, it's time for you to start making your own food every once in a while. You're 13, you're a teenager. I think it's just time. And he said, well, I'm not ready to mature yet. As a matter of fact, I feel a nap coming on, is what he said. And I put that on Facebook when he said it. So his wit, he has a very quick wit. Wordplay is when you do a play on words. She just did the herd. That was hilarious. I'm going to shamelessly steal that one day. But it's when you twist your language with humorous results. And if you are a dad right now, this is your category. This is your wheel well right here. This whole category. Because when you tell dad jokes, that's what it looks like. It's like, you know, if you guys are going to be lying around, let me go get my name going. So, you know, it's not funny to us, but it ends up being funny overall. And that's a style. That's a style of humor you can use. Topical. This is humor based on current events. So Saturday Night Live, perfect example. If you want to know what this looks like, look at an episode of Saturday Night Live where they literally take current events and they make these humorous sketches out of them. So topical has to do with things that are going on right now. So you kind of got to know what's going on around the world with the news. I don't watch the news, so this is not my style. But those that are on Saturday Night Live, that's their humor style. So if you are a person that kind of checks things with the time, and when you connect with people, you bring up a current event and you make it humorous, topical is your style. Observation, look around and find something funny. If you happen to be in a meeting and you are looking around and you need a way to bring some humor in, look around and use your environment as some, man, I'm looking at, let me see, what can I make funny? Okay, look around. Yeah, that. Look around and see if there's something around you that you can find humor in. Believe it or not, there are people that do this all the time. They make humor out of their environment and it works perfect for them. These are the ones I don't like. I don't like bodily. I don't like it, but it's humor. Some people do bodily things. I'll go ahead and let your imagination run wild at the bodily things that you can do in order to be humorous. It's like when men break wind or when they burp. I hate that type of humor. And I put there, don't do this, but if that's your type of humor, that's your type of humor. But it drives me nuts. My boys love to burp. I don't get the appeal of burping, but they think it is hilarious. There are people that go around and they do this in order to be funny. And one that I did not list because I don't like it is dark. So there is a dark type of humor as well. Dark means dark or depressing. It's where there are literally comedians that do jokes about suicide. They do jokes about death. And the reason why I didn't put it here is if you identify with that type of humor, I would ask to look for a secondary style of humor that you can utilize. Because when you use that low humor, it turns people off and they're not gonna wanna listen to you. Trust me on that. I know some people who use it. I'm a poet and I'm on stages quite a bit, and there are some poets that use very dark poetry in every single room they go into, and nobody wants to listen to them. There's a place for it, but I always say you can use dark, but then bring them back up again beforehand. So if you have to use dark humor, just please make sure you bring your audience back up again, because the purpose of humor is to make them laugh. And if you're being dark, it's not funny. It's not funny. Can someone please read the comments to me? Please, pretty please, because I want to make sure I catch the comments.
Oh, Yolanda, I was just saying that my family, we never grew beyond that base level of humor. I'm sorry. We get together as a family and that's still what'll make us laugh till we cry, fart jokes. So, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, nah. That's very fair. So why do you think that is, Lindy? I'm curious.
I don't know, but honestly, I don't use it on stage, but
Exactly. That was funny. Okay. They're laughing. Lindy, you're funny, hon. You're funny. You literally just used a situation in your family, and that was funny. That was funny. So I say again, everyone is funny in their own style. You just used wit. That was wit, 100% wit. And you pulled in some observation because it's what you observed. And she's going, I'm still not funny. Yes, you are. It was funny. It was funny. Look at the smiles on the screen. Oh, wait, they thought you were funny. So it's funny. Everybody is funny. Every person is funny. Trust me. Okay, we're going to go on to timing, and then I'm going to come back and see if anyone has any questions. So for a person that says there's no such thing as bad timing, not. Timing is everything when it comes to a joke, when it comes to humor. So you have to make very, very certain that you position any humor in a strategic place, I will say. So you notice that I am not, even though this is a workshop on humor, I am not loading everyone with nothing but nonstop laughs. I'm not doing that. I'm not giving you a laugh a minute. I'm not putting nothing but funny on the slides. So I'm inserting humor in very strategic places in my presentation. You want to make sure that every bit of humor that you pull in, it is humor that will keep people engaged. It'll keep people energized, and you're not losing your crowd with your humor as well. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about timing here in just a moment, because unless I know exactly what type of speech you're doing, presentation you're doing, what situation you're trying to include humor in, it's really hard to say whether or not or where the timing is perfect.
You have groceries outside.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Remind me to give you something like a hug. A hug. Money. Fame. Would you like fame? Would you want gas in your car?
Choose
What do you
one.
want? I mean, come on, dude.
Choose one.
Choose one. I got you.
Oh, sorry.
You just burped. Do you see what I mean? He just burped. Ew. So anyway, my kids came from me. They're funny too. They are funny too. My 23-year-old just opened the door to tell me he did something for me. So apparently he doesn't care when I'm in a workshop either. He just popped in. But you notice I'm like that with them. It's just a natural thing. And he was funny right back. Burping is not funny anyway. So if there are particular moments where you want to know whether or not your timing is perfect, we can talk about those particular situations. But when Lindy first started talking about her family, notice she didn't say anything funny. But then right at that moment, when I asked her that question, that follow-up, that particular funny moment came in. It was a hit with the audience. The audience was laughing. Lindy's like, I didn't do that. That was my ghost. You are kidding me. It wasn't me. But it was perfect timing when she did that. My son burping on cue, perfect timing, because I just got through talking about it. So when I say timing is everything, it can make or break humor, but we're all gonna make it. So it's okay. We're not gonna do it at the wrong time. We're not. Now, how do we put humor during not so humorous times? I had a presentation, and I've talked about this at every workshop that I've done, where I was asked to deliver a presentation for a HR group when they had to let people go during that particular meeting. And they asked me to come in and present some information in a, they said, please, Yolanda, if you'll just come in and make sure they don't cry, make sure they don't leave, make sure they don't, and this is what one of them said, jump out of a window, please. We just need you to bring something to the table where it'll make the news that we have to give them palatable because they know it's coming. So these are the things that I used during that particular one, and I'm going to talk about each and every one of them. Number one, find humor that will lighten the situation. Don't go to dark, sarcastic, or self-deprecating humor at that moment, because everything that you can say humorous, they are going to think opposite because it's not so positive. It's not so good. It's not so uplifting. So don't use that kind of humor, but find humor that will lighten and uplift the situation. Next, always keep the humor lighthearted and focus on the positive and the bright side. So that's where I kept the entire presentation that I did. I started off with, if anybody in the room is not breathing right now, I need you to raise your hand. I mean, don't be shy. Anybody not breathing? So immediately the crowd started laughing. You know, they're looking around. One guy at that thing said, wait a minute, let me check my oxygen tank, right in the middle of it. And he got another laugh. If you keep it positive, and I said, you know, the thing to be grateful for right now is the fact that amidst everything that is going on, amidst the crazy times that we are having, and this was before COVID, you're breathing and you are alive. And as long as you are alive, there's an opportunity to take a situation that may not seem so positive right now and make it positive. And we're going to talk about things that you can do to make a not so positive situation like this one much more positive. And that's how I kicked it off. And then I went through my points. So if you keep it lighthearted, they'll keep it lighthearted. By the end of the presentation, as they said, you know, if you guys will come up here and get your packets, we'll talk about, you know, the things that you're going to get, you know, some of the things you're going to, and they were talking about the things, you know, all of the, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get this severance package and this, and people were laughing and they were hugging and they were joking and they were making plans with each other. Because that was one of the things I said, find someone who you identify with in the room, go to lunch, go to dinner, have a fun dinner. They invited me to a couple of them. They were never the same again when they invited me to them. But the point is, you can use humor during those times. And lastly, don't cheese. Don't do that. Don't be like, this is the best day of your life, even though it's the worst day of your life. Don't cheese during these situations, because truly they're delivering something that is going to be life-changing. So smile during the entire thing. Smile, which goes to the next thing. What do you mean? This is my happy face. But understand they may not smile. And in all honesty, they're not supposed to. They're being delivered something that's probably not so positive. So the next thing I think of is a funeral. At a funeral, you may want to use lighthearted humor just to keep the room uplifted, because it's a very sad time. I see people not smiling on here, but that's okay. That's okay if people are not smiling. They're smiling inside. They like you. So don't get nervous if you don't see them smile during these non-humorous times. So for those who are not smiling, I know you're smiling inside. I feel it. The llama feels it. We all feel it. So it's okay. You don't have to worry about that. Stay away from polarizing topics. So at this thing, I did not bring up how long they had been with the company. I did not bring up the current market and things that were going on with the market that made it possible for them to have to cut people. I stayed away from polarizing topics as it related to that particular setting, because those topics, well, if I'm saying, you know, I know some of you have been with the company for 20 years. Well, what about the person that's been with the company for 2 weeks and they have to leave? They had some of those. It's polarizing, and all of a sudden it's no longer fun. So stay away from those types of topics. Stay with the lighthearted topics. Keep engagement with your audience. So even though it's not so positive of a time, continuing to look at your audience, continuing to hone in on every single one of their faces, continuing to talk to them and not run away from them because it's not a topic that may not be, haha, funny sort of topic. If you keep that engagement, they feel like you care. I got invited out to dinner at people's houses that I did not know at the end of that, because I said to them, keep the people that keep you smiling close. Because if you do that, you will wake up every single day with a reason to smile. And a couple of people chose me. One person had me crying because they were like, you kept me smiling and crying when I got fired. And, my kids loved you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is supposed to be a happy time. So keep engagement with them. And if you keep engagement with them, they're going to fill your heart. And automatically it's gonna become an uplifting moment where you can then engage humor. Because I was like, oh my God, my kids don't have me crying this much. It was okay to insert that type of humor at that time. And once again, you smile, even if they're not smiling. Because even if a person is not smiling, if you're smiling, they're gonna feel it every single moment. I get practice with this with my baby boy every day. There are days when it happened earlier. He was in there pitching a fit over something small. I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter, because he has those moments where he's triggered, and he will throw things if you're not careful. He will hit on things. Our arrangement is not to throw things. So he has something where he can hit if he needs a moment to get something out. And I'll give him a moment, but for a good couple of minutes, I will not be able to get him to smile in that moment. So what I do is I smile at him. Man, good thing I bought you that and it wasn't made of eggs. So when I say something like that to him, the first thing he's not going to smile at first. And I go, yeah, and if it was made of eggs, that means I have a chicken around here somewhere. Okay, well, now he's looking at me like, I can't believe Mom said that. And then I'll keep going. And yeah, if I had a chicken, it means I'm going to need a rooster. I'll tell you about why the roosters need it later. He'll go, Mom, wait a minute, I don't want it. So now he's smiling. Now he's engaged with me. I just keep going. Use exactly the same tactic if you happen to use humor during not so humorous times. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Eventually you will get that smile. You'll get that laughter. You'll get exactly what it is that you are looking for. Now, if you're wondering, Yolanda, I live on the edge, and I want to know if my type of humor can be said. Well, let's talk about it, because I don't want you to look like this guy. I heeded your advice about not saying anything controversial, and I had no idea that the word welcome would offend them. Unfortunately, I have learned that no matter how well intended you are, there are certain things that you say that will offend people. I did not have time to change because I've been going from event to event. I'm preparing to get married. We had to meet with the person who, gave us our little, premarital counseling right before this session. Then I had my son, and I didn't have time to change. I just wanted the person to think I was holy. I was like, yes, I'm getting married and I love Jesus. So just go ahead and sign off on the freaking thing so we can get our life started. We're 50. We don't have time to waste. Just say yes. We're stuck with each other for life, and we don't know how long that's going to be. We just need you to sign the thing right now. So I didn't have time to change. But there may be people on the line that may be atheists or Buddhists, or they may do something different. But because we've had fun, it's okay. I'm sure there's nobody staring at my shirt going, Jesus was a Mexican, and I don't like Mexicans. I'm sorry if that offended anybody, but you know what I mean. Somebody may have been offended by it, but I'm hoping the way I delivered the presentation and the engagement that I've used, even if that is the case, and you may have heard something later on or earlier on that may have offended you, it's okay. I would ask if there's anybody who felt that way at the beginning. And when I ask for questions, just be honest about it. Yeah. I know about the big God, I do, but he can stay up there, I'm down here. Just be honest. And just be honest if you were looking at my shirt the whole time thinking, why'd you wear that shirt, or whether it was okay, even though you felt that way. I would love to know. So let's jump into it. All these things. Can I say that? I usually say to my kids, now to my kids, if you can't say it in church, it's probably not going to be as funny as you think it is. And I have heard some doozies from my children because me and my children have an open door policy. I told them they can tell me anything, and they do. I've needed my asthma pump after some of them, but they are being very honest about the things that they find funny. If you can't say it to your kids, then it's probably something that you probably shouldn't say out loud. And some people are like, well, I don't have kids, so I want to try it anyway. If you want to try it anyway, that's okay. But again, that's a rule of thumb. You'll find my humor. Sometimes it skirts the edge. You probably heard a little bit of it tonight, but still, if you can't say it to your kids, you could probably not say it to an audience. And I know some people are going, I'm going to try it anyway. Please do. Here's the next one then. If you can't say it to your mom, I guess that depends on what type of relationship you have with your mom. But if you can't say it to your mom, you probably shouldn't say it out loud. And why is that? Well, when you use offensive topics that tend to offend, it just divides your audience. And once again, you don't want to be using humor where half the people get your joke and half of the other people don't get your joke. I heard a comic give a joke. So if this offends you, I want to apologize. It's not my joke, okay? But this is what the guy said. He said, if you want to imagine how a woman feels when she's on her cycle, men, plug your nose with tissue until you can't breathe. And I said, but you're stupid. I don't even want to watch you anymore. And then as he went on, it got a little bit funnier. He was like, imagine your nose bleeding every 30 days. And then you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go outside right now because I'm bleeding. And he was telling the men to do it because he said, and women, don't do this because you guys already do. But men, and then, when you take your nose out, then oh my God, now I'm blowing it, and it wasn't funny to me. It just wasn't funny. I was like, I hate this guy. I didn't want to watch him anymore. But it was a live show and half the women were just not engaged. I look around, the women were looking at their phones. They were talking to the men. A couple of them left. And I was like, and I stay for stuff like that. Number one, because I'm entertained by their stupidity. But number two, I'm looking at the audience because I want to know what's a laugh and what's not. And in that case, I called this particular comedy place back because they know me there. And I said, when is that person going to be back? And they said, we're not inviting him back. Because the majority of the customers, who were women, by the way, didn't like him. So if it will divide your audience, it's just best not to use that kind of humor. It's just best not to say it. My opinion. All righty. So let's test the theory. I always leave some time for Q&A to test the theory of the things that we've talked about. So let us look in the chat. Oh, I love the chats. Look at this. Okay. Her shirt. Yes, it does. It does say the alert is my separate. I'm waiting for Yolanda. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. People couldn't see my doggone shirt. My bad. My bad. I couldn't see anything. Couldn't see anything. So any questions? Any questions whatsoever? Thank you for adjusting me back. Yes, my presentation is over. Any questions that anyone has, please come off of mute and let's talk about it. Because before we leave, everybody is going to identify their style. Get ready. Get ready. Everybody's going to identify their style. So any questions before we go into the style identification?
Amy has a question.
Yes. Yes. I was mostly interested in the timing portion, and I didn't really get any information from that other than it's important. So if you could just expand a little bit on that.
The timing part of it.
Yeah.
It really does depend on the situation. Are you doing a speech? Are you doing, so you have noticed where I have strategically placed my humor throughout my particular presentation. So number one, timing is important because you don't want to overload people with humor. And you want your humor to be thrown in enough where it keeps your audience engaged. Also, when you're doing a joke, if you're doing satire, if you're doing a pun, make sure you're doing it in a place where people will get it, where it is. That's why I said, it really does depend on the situation. When Lindy said that thing about her family right then, right when I asked her that question, it was a perfectly timed moment to include that bit of humor. So when I say timing is everything, as you begin to put humor in your speech, you will realize when humor is, that's not the best place to use it. So for instance, when my 23-year-old first came to the door and he said, "I did this for you, Mom." And I said, "Okay, well, do you want a reward?" He just sat there, and that was the 13-year-old. That timing was perfect. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just like, and he didn't know it was perfect, but it's crazy that he did it right then when we were talking about timing. But you see what I mean? Everybody laughed. They were like, "She planned that, didn't she?" No, they're not supposed to come in here when I'm doing a workshop.
It's not planned at all.
Perfectly planned. This is, I can't say it any better. So,
Okay, so one of the questions I have is, especially in a Zoom environment where you're on camera,
mhm,
when you would normally be in front of
the audience.
your audience, you can see, you can hear the response. If I'm saying something like I have an aside to the camera
Mhm.
that I use in my speech, is it best to just assume I'm going to get
Yes, I know
laughter?
exactly what you mean, and the answer is yes. And aside from that, yes, Face.
Did you get grapes?
Are you asking me about groceries right now?
Yes, they arrived.
Okay, go eat a banana.
Did you get
Bananas are
grapes?
better and they're not green.
Did you get grapes?
Grapes are out of season. They were out.
Eat a banana.
Eat a banana. They're better. They're longer. Eat a banana. That's all I'm saying. But assume that your audience is going to laugh. And not only that, assume the outcome. So you will notice I said, and even if you guys are not laughing, I know you're laughing inside. I wasn't looking at the audience. I couldn't. I was looking at my slides.
Mhm.
So think of the possible outcomes of the humorous thing that you are about to say. If you're about to say, "Man, listen, I'm a dog person. Okay, I really don't like cats." And I know some of you out there are saying, "Yolanda, I love cats." Go ahead and include it as a part of the presentation, because 10 times out of 10, somebody is going to identify with what it is that you're saying. 10 times out of 10. There's not a lot of situations if you are preparing to speak to an audience where you can't think about what they're going to respond to. So give me an example of something that you would want to say that is funny to your audience. And you're on camera, you're looking at the camera and you can't look at them. Think of something funny that you can say right now.
I hope I don't have ketchup on my face.
There you go. There you go. And for those of you who don't like ketchup, you're probably happy right now that it's not on your face or in your mouth.
Anywhere
But I
near you.
digress. Yeah, exactly. You see? Exactly. So engage with them with that humor. Think of possible things that think of ways that you can engage with your audience when it comes to ketchup. If you can't look at them, think about it. And for those of you who really like ketchup, I bet you wish you had some on your face right now. So you're engaging with them. The ones that wish they had ketchup on their face are smiling right now, thinking of a hot dog with ketchup on it. I guarantee you, they're thinking of food with ketchup on it. So you see people smiling. You see certain people aren't smiling. That's because they don't like ketchup. They like mustard. They like mayo.
They like apple.
Oh, you got an apple.
Mhm.
Nice. That is cool. You do know you're in your underwear.
Yes.
This is a group of strangers. I've heard of people imagine people in their underwear, but we don't want to use him as an example right now, do we? So you see, you can easily engage and find a way to pull them in, whether you can see them or not. And it's hard to look at everybody on the Zoom. You see, I tried it once and I was looking at a couple of people, and then I moved on to those moments where I said, and for those of you who, go ahead and throw some things out there that will pull members of your audience into your humor. Just go ahead and do it. You're going to catch some. Trust me, you're going to catch some of them. And people who are looking at the audience, they're going to want to smile because the audience is smiling. They're just going to smile by virtue of smiling. Like Lori hates ketchup. She hasn't smiled the whole time we've been talking about ketchup. She's the one that I think likes mayo. Okay, so Lori is now smiling. She probably was going, I didn't say a freaking thing about ketchup. Why are we talking? So exactly, you see? So timing is everything. And if you don't think that they get it, somebody asked that question, well, what if they don't think? There's always something to say about ketchup that's funny. In fact, there's always something funny to say. Look at this. What if the audience doesn't catch up with the joke? Come on. Perfectly timed timing. See what I mean? So I don't even think you have to practice it. You were just doing it. And then you watched me do it with people who, you know, are not there. And the people who happen not to be on camera, it's okay. It's okay. Those are cheesecake people. That's what it is. They don't want to talk about condiments. They want to talk about desserts. I got you, Primavera, Melody, Guest Jim. I got you. I got you guys. I got you. Cake for everybody in a little bit. So Karen, I saw your hand go up a moment ago. Is that, or is that Sandra? Both of you have on green and the screen switched. I'm 50.
Yes,
Who did that?
I did have my hand up.
Thank you, Karen. What's up?
I was curious when you were talking about styles because I was trying to identify my style.
Yes.
And I felt that I had pieces of many of them, but I didn't really call any my style. I tend to use story. I find that by using story and telling a scene that people can identify with, either a self-deprecating story or a story of just funny life, like the old cartoon, what was it called? The Family Circus. That for those of you that are older, you'll know what that one is, but it was a real life family circus kind of scenario. And that's sort of how I see myself in humor. But I also use things like the power of three, where you say two things that you would expect, and the third is totally off the wall and it gets people smiling or laughing. I tend to do that, or maybe a pun or a play on words. So I do sort of a combination. So I'm not really sure what I would call my style.
And you just hit the nail on the head of something that I was going to say as we identified our styles. Is it is okay if you hit multiple of those or use multiple of those to infuse humor.
You're welcome. I'm glad I set you up.
I'm here for you. It's like I'm going to pay you as soon as this is done. But do you notice that when she said it, you didn't crack a smile. So you also have deadpan, and you do it beautifully. I'm telling you, you do it beautifully because you told the joke, but you didn't crack a smile. So it's like, and if you guys know what that is, you're old. That's basically what she was saying to them. You know what family circle is. Get your walker. We need to come over here and meet me in the corner. I'm 50. I know exactly what family circle is. But love it. That was self-deprecating, by the way. I use that because anyway, you guys see, you can cross it and you can utilize it. You can utilize it. So I am definitely, Abhijit asked me once, do you usually share your slides? No, I do not. But what I do have are notes. I have notes from each of the sessions that I will make sure I make available to both Abhijit and Lindy, and they will make sure you have them. And it will include those styles and what the definition of those styles are. But Karen, it's like I paid her, because that's exactly what I was going to say. You will crisscross among these quite a bit. I know. I love Karen. I'm taking her on the road with me. Any other questions?
David has a question. David?
David,
Yolanda,
yes.
your little friend back behind you, he, he he might have the last laugh because he's showing his teeth and his eyes are showing something different than smiling.
Yeah, it is. And I picked that picture on purpose, David. I said this at a previous humorous workshop, and I didn't mention it during this one because, you know, I want you to use humor in many situations, but every humorous one I do, I always include a funny background, always. And this is my 13-year-old. The eyes never match the teeth never match the hands, and he is always here. You see that? That's him. That is him. Plus, my personality is like a llama. No, I will not spit on you. Look at the personality of it. Not that they do. Oh, that's a camel. Dang it. I thought it is a camel. See, the smart people in
Not-
yeah.
Llamas
Yeah, they
spit
do
too.
spit.
They
They
llamas
spit.
too.
Yes, they do.
Thank you guys so much. So listen, watch what I did. I know that llamas spit as well, but notice how I got the entire room engaged. That is what humor does. Like legit, that is what humor does. So use it, like legit use it. It engages the audience. So David, you were just looking at my llama? Is that what you're saying? You're looking at my llama and you were looking at me?
Yeah, he got an unsure look about him and he's behind you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And this is my life in a
And he's-
nutshell.
And he's bigger than you.
Everyone's bigger than me, David. I'm 5'0". Everyone is bigger than me, including my children. So it's either this visual or it is this visual.
Ooh.
So it's either that one or the 13 and the 23-year-old over my legit. This is my life. So I use this and another one too. This is how I feel. 90% I have to find a one with the third because now my fiance has been added to the pack.
Ooh.
Yay, marriage.
Yolanda, now we gotta get together because I'm 5'9", so we'll be like what, Laurel and Hardy or something when we're together, huh?
Uh-huh. So
Mutton
is my
chop.
fiance. He's 5'9". So I know exactly what we're gonna look like, Lindy. I appreciate it. You gotta hand it to us short people because we can't reach it anyway. So you know how that is. But yeah. Any
Nice touch.
question, Terry? I see you waving.
I just want to say I kind of appreciate this because I really appreciate this. I kind of figured out my style. I think I'm more improvisational. The only problem is when it's happening in the spur of the moment like that, sometimes I crack myself up so much I can't even say what it is. It's so funny because I'm laughing so hard.
Did you notice the moments where I would try to say something and I go, never mind, and I keep going? That is literally what I'm doing in my head. My head is going, but that joke is freaking hilarious, Yolanda. What are you doing? And I'm like, shut up. I'm in the middle of a humorous workshop. I got to keep going here. So I'm literally having conversations, but what I've learned to do is to move my way through the Rolodex quick enough to get what I need to say out. Camille is giving me life with these things she's doing. Jamal, if I hope I'm pronouncing Jamal, same. Their backgrounds are hilarious. So I'm over here getting my life. But yeah, Terry, we improv people are like that. If you look at whose line it is it anyway, there were moments where they were thinking, but they are so used to being quick on their feet. Some of that stuff is goofy. It makes no sense, but it only makes sense to them and they laugh at themselves. And that in itself is humorous. So what you just did when you said, everybody laughed before you could get out as if they knew exactly what you were going to say. So your style is already working.
Thank you.
It's already working. And I love your flowers. I kill flowers. I need to ask what you're doing because
They're all green.
they are, and they're beautiful too. So, yeah.
I also wanted to share that just, as you were talking and you were talking about different situations, it brought up the scene in Steel Magnolias where everybody's so sad at the funeral. And then they say, you can hit her. They put Shirley MacLaine up in front. And it's just like, everybody, I'm crying watching the movie. And then it's just like hilarious.
Exactly. Perfect example. He said, hit Weezer, so that is an example of youth using humor in a moment where they just needed to break it up, just needed to. And man, I have been invited to speak at some like that, and that, you have to be, use a nice dividing line. They had that type of relationship.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you probably could not grab someone from the front row and go, if anybody would like to hit this person afterward, I will sell tickets, So yeah, use the humor that will, be appropriate for the non-humorous situation most naturally. But yeah, absolutely great example. Great example. Anyone else have any questions? I'm not looking at a clock, so please keep me accountable to time because I'm not looking at it.
Camille has a question. Camille, go ahead.
Camille. And William as well. I saw William as well. So William, you are next. Camille, yes.
So my question is, with Toastmasters, the humor is getting a little bit on the, I don't know, the risque side. So
Yeah.
how far do you think is appropriate? For example, I have a line in one of my speeches that says, I was as angry as a three-legged dog trying to bury a turd on an icy pond. Is that not appropriate or appropriate for Toastmasters?
Okay, let's poll the audience. Who thought that was hilarious? Camille, honey, baby, angel, no. Turds, and okay, let's say somebody loves animals. For some reason, if you talk about animals being wounded or hurt, it cuts to the heart. And turds, it's that line. You're going to divide your audience because some of them may find it humorous because they may like that. And then others, what if this is your audience? So think of humor that will lift your audience up instead of bring them to a place where they're going, turd is not fun. You don't want that. You just don't want that. You want to keep it up. So lift them up and not bring them down. That's what I mean. Toastmasters, and I've heard jokes that have gotten really risque, you're right, but they only land with a certain crowd. They never land with the whole, and you'll never find those speeches going beyond them telling it to the audience in front of them, unfortunately. But is there an audience for it? Absolutely. You have to find that audience if that's what it is. So find an audience who loves those types of jokes. I'm in a group that's called Shenanigans, and the jokes in there, I'm telling you, 60% of them, I just want to throw holy water on them. I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Why is that funny to you? But it's a group full of individuals that love that kind of humor, and they are cracking up at it every day. So I have to pick and choose what I'm going to laugh at because these are my friends and I love them. And, 40% of it is funny to me, but you want your whole crowd. So either find a group that'll like those type of jokes or stick to the jokes that will uplift your crowd and not bring them down. William.
Yeah, I've been enjoying this thoroughly and learning a lot. I actually was just scratching my cheek and
Really?
so don't have much to say after that. But I've been enjoying myself.
Absolutely fantastic, William. I appreciate it. Because I was watching your face the whole time, William. I wanted to make sure you enjoyed yourself. And I'm not being
total deadpan.
I meant it. Yeah, see, I use it throughout. And it's also observational. I observed what type of humor I thought would make you smile. And that is humor that complimented you. So it was observatory. Observe. Obviously, I was right because you're still smiling at me and I like it. So it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. So yeah, you guys have seen me use it like throughout. You saw me use it before I did the workshop because I did it during that table topics. I think I went a little far in the table topics. I was having way too much fun during the big top thingy, but because Lindy was like, be you. It's like, Lindy, listen, babe, I need for you to understand what you're saying. to me. Yolanda has no brakes, is what I get. She's like, no, I want you to be you. I want you to do whatever, and that's what you got. So I always bring my full style to the table. And very, I mean, I can even say 0% of the time has it not been successful. And I don't say that to be facetious. It is just something I get a chance to practice every day, not only in speaking, but again, with a son who is autistic that doesn't understand social norms. He doesn't understand social behavior. So his sense of humor is very, very different. Here's how different. He went to school one day and told his friend, if I had a chance, I would pull out an imaginary gun. And when he said it, that's not funny, is it? And his friend didn't think it was funny either. The friend went to a counselor. The counselor called me immediately and was like, Miss Bynum, we need to have a conversation about your son. And I said to her, ma'am, you know, he talked about bringing an imaginary gun. And I said, yeah, okay. She's like, you're not taking this serious enough, Mrs. Bynum. I said, I want to show you something real fast. And I walked into his room and I said, Jeremy, and he was like, yes, ma'am. And I said, your counselor just called me and said that you talked about bringing an imaginary gun. No lie, my son did this. It's imaginary. And I was like, am I proving my point yet? He does not understand that that's serious to you guys because it's a joke. He's not planning on bringing a gun to school. It's imaginary. In his mind, imaginary is humorous. And that's his type of humor. Unfortunately, his humor is dark. It's dark. He's not trying to be that way on purpose, but because he doesn't understand social norms and social cues, his style of humor is dark. So he will tell depressing things. He tells things that are dark. And it's something that he is going to have to mature out of. Because he's funny, as you can see, outside of that. But not everybody will get the joke. And once the counselor heard him laughing, said, well, maybe you should tell him that, you know, that's probably not the best thing to say. And I said, yeah, I'll have a conversation with him. It's not a problem. He plays Roblox. That he's not thinking of it being serious. So yeah. Next question. How are we doing on time? I want to make sure. Jamal and then Lori. How are we doing on time? Abhijit, he is the timekeeper.
We have 15 more minutes.
Cool. You know, Abhijit can stand on his head. Did everybody know? You guys did? That's crazy. That means you've been doing it in front of them. Wow. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Jamal, that is crazy.
Yes, Yolanda, this is awesome because humor, like when I saw that cute llama, I was like thinking of, hey, I should get Garfield in here. It's
Yes, exactly.
And humor releases tension and it just lightens the mood. And sometimes I just laugh at myself because I'm thinking something else and I'm just laughing. And my husband is like, what are you laughing? But it's just going on in my head and I'm just laughing at it. So, and
I love it.
the question I have is, you know, sometimes there are days that are like going really crazy. I now see, I was just wondering, is there any website or anything that you can watch to lighten the mood? And just talking to you, you know, things like Office comes in, Garfield comes in, and I'm like, it just gives so much energy. And especially I like uplifting humor, not the dark one. I don't understand that. I just like the ones that just brings a smile.
Indeed. I would say if you've never done this, go to YouTube and search. Think about your favorite topic in the world. If your favorite topic is faith, for instance, do a search, comedians who talk about faith. And what you will get is a whole playlist full of funny people, whole playlist full of people who are talking about faith in a funny way. So I would suggest Googling and YouTubing. I have a whole list of comedians that I absolutely love. Some are on the safe side, but believe it or not, most of the comedians that I listen to are rather on the risque side. Ralphie May is the first one that I think of. If you don't know who Ralphie May is, hilarious comedian. He passed away some time ago, but if you Google him, let me just say first, before you Google him, he's very polarizing. Very polarizing. He is a big white guy, humongous white guy, unfortunately. That's how he passed away, from obesity. But he came on the scene. He came on the scene as this big white guy talking about being at the movies with a Black couple in front of him. And he said, now y'all all know that y'all be talking during the movies. All of y'all know it. Don't get mad at me, player. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I was at the movies and I had a couple that was in front of me. And you know, the movie came on and the couple was in the boat and then they fell and all of a sudden you're Donna, it was a shark coming. And then the woman was like, ooh, you know that those are crackers in the water. If they up there and they see that shark and they still there. I know that's right. They sitting up there in the water. You ain't gonna get me scuba diving in the water when there's sharks in there. I wouldn't be scuba diving either. So he's making fun of a people, but it's hilarious to me. May make some people not feel so great about, but I thought it was hilarious. It was hilarious to me, but he's very polarizing. Pick your crowd, pick your comedy. And if you don't find it funny, move on to the thing that does, and then save those things in a playlist. I have a playlist about an hour long of my favorite comedians and my favorite sets that they have done. And it uplifts me on a sad, I don't have any sad days because of these people, but on days where it's crazy, say my son has some very interesting days, I go straight to that playlist. And by the time I'm on the third or fourth comedian, I'm laughing and I don't feel so bad anymore. And if you need more, they have my number. I can give you smiles. I can give you smiles. So yes, keep talking to yourself, keep laughing in your head, and all your voices will laugh with you. It's a beautiful thing.
I like that,
I do it every
Yolanda.
day. I do it every day. Every day. Lori, see, I do it. I'm telling you, you guys can do it anytime. Lori, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I love humor. I love to laugh, and our whole family is funny. We all have different sense of humor. But when I speak about when I do folk tales, I have no problem being funny and humorous. But when I talk about the main thing, what I wrote a book about, and what I talk about is the code of Bushido and the samurai, I don't talk about the battles. I talk about their mindset, how they live by this code of ethics. And it's not funny to me. It's like, I'm really serious and, you know, sometimes maybe too serious.
Right. Find humor in your topics. You're going to have to find it. You're going to have to create some humor because you're right. That wasn't funny. I was like, first, I didn't know what you were talking about. And I know you explained it in the book. Maybe I should get the book, but
get the book.
Get the book. Exactly. And that could be, you know, listen, if you didn't know what I just said, get I got a form right here. It's gonna see, look, she has the book. You're gonna have to create it because I can tell you're a funny person. I can tell. But you're gonna have to create humor. And if you don't crack a smile as you say, it comes with a sword. What's the problem? You can create humor with your content as you're explaining it. And just, you know, at particular points in it where you keep your audience engaged as they're listening about your book. So you're going to have to create some humor for that.
I do smile when there's something inspiring, or it's like when I overcame traumatic brain injury, and I do smile because that was quite a feat, you know, go through thousands of appointments, reading at 7th grade level, and then now I'm a functioning adult.
Right. And
that could be humorous.
Exactly. As you're talking about it, I've thought about 7 things that I could have said about you right then, but it's your life. It's your story. I'm not going to include, but I think of things like, for instance, my fiance, he had a stroke some years ago. And so he walks with a very pronounced limp. I hope he's not listening. He walks with a, because he hates me talking about it, but it's relevant. He walks with a very pronounced limp and he can't use part of his side. But when he's talking to people, he always uses that as a point of humor. It never fails. He'll be like, babe, I need you to wind my arm. Wind it, babe. Wind it, babe. Wind it, babe. It's not going to wind itself. Come on. So he does things with his body and with himself. And what that does is that tones down the tension that people feel when you have to talk about these serious items. I had surgery and I got I'm not, for the purpose of the men in the room, I do not want to discuss them. Let's just say, the place where the oven was with the baby, they removed the oven and put it somewhere. So the oven is no longer there. So that is how I take something that could potentially be serious. I don't want to say hysterectomy. Hysterectomy, and I'm saying the word to prove a point. Hysterectomy, do you see the men's faces? They have tuned out. They're thinking of sports. They're thinking of anything but hysterectomies. They don't want to hear about that. But if I say it's an oven, is a bun, there was a bun in the oven. Okay, they've taken out the oven and the dials and the inside. So I can no longer put a bun in there. Well, I could, but it would be disgusting. It's outside my body. You see, I'm still going with this. You can do the same thing, Lori. When you talk about the things you've gone through, it's a very traumatic moment where I wasn't able to use my brain. And I know it may not seem like it, but I'm better now. So I want everybody trust me, please. It's not, I'm better. I'm really better. So there are ways that you can include, and I know it's all self-deprecating, but you almost have to, so that they can laugh with you.
Okay.
Because otherwise they're going to be thinking, oh my gosh, she went through what? 7th grade? Oh my gosh, are you serious? The reason why my 13-year-old can come in here and be funny all the time is because that is the world that I've given to him to help with the fact that he's autistic. You have to look at the world through smiling eyes, because if you don't, you're always going to be sad. You're going to be sad at the fact that you have to try harder, sad at the fact that you get teased. So let's look at life through smiles. And you can do exactly the same thing. And I can tell you have it in you. I mean, I'm looking at you and I already want to go to dinner with you and just chill and listen to all your stories. So yes, use you as a means of doing so and start small. Introduce, just a small something. And it's okay if you laugh, just like you did, because everybody's going to laugh with you. Everyone has laughed with you every single time you've said something. I've been watching them, or they've smiled.
Once in a while, I'll lose words. And if I can't find it, I one time go, must be TBI.
Oh my gosh. Physical. That was a perfect slapstick physical thing. Yeah. I can't find my words and I'm supposed to be okay. So we are twins. Why do you think I write everything down? Because I will go off on a tangent that'll take us all off a cliff.
Thank you.
And no one was harmed in the making of this joke, so nobody went off a cliff. Joan, yeah, somebody.
We're getting toward the end of the hour, and I don't want to keep us too long.
Okay.
So I'm gonna.
Joan has a question. Can I get?
He does. Adrian, is it a long question or is it a short question? Go, Adrian.
I don't know. Maybe you can judge. All right. Anyway, first I'd like to issue hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Hi, Yolanda, babe. I miss you.
Hi.
Anyway. All right. By the way, I'd like to issue a mea culpa because I'm supposed to introduce you a while ago, but because something happened to me, so I apologize. I felt like I disappointed your llamas. Anyway, my question is this. I have the tendency to be insecure when in cracking jokes when I'm talking to like people of different cultures and nationalities, like this.
Yes.
Like this group. Yeah, it's an insecurity. I felt like I'm choking up. So what's your suggestion or tip?
So you were just hilariously funny because people were laughing at you. And if you crack a joke, number one, don't be insecure. Nobody knows if you're insecure until you say it. So I wouldn't have known you were insecure. You came to the mic very confident. So don't say it. And as a matter of fact, don't even think it. Don't worry about that. Keep that somewhere in the back of your mind and never let it present itself, because nobody will know it unless you say it. And number two, man, you have a lot to use. Are you Hispanic? Where are you from? Because you're from somewhere else. I can tell where are you from? Like, where were you born? Philippines. Dude, yeah, there's a lot of, if you throw a joke and nobody gets it because it happens to be cultural, then tell them you'll translate the joke in Philippine after the session. I mean, you can utilize humor with yourself. So if the joke doesn't land immediately, again, don't stop until you see a few smiles. And once you see a few smiles, keep going. So it's okay if it doesn't land. Pick it up, throw it again. And never say that you lack any sort of confidence. You're awesome. He said he liked me. I'm not saying this just because of that, but yeah, totally. If I were not engaged and I was 30 years younger, I would.
Come on, let's get married tomorrow.
Look. Beyonce is an alpha male. I know he did. I love you, Adrienne. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate it. Lindy.
Awesome. Before we wrap up here, I just would like to have a couple of you raise your hand and say what your biggest takeaway is. Hannelore, I can see the gears going in your head. What are you taking away tonight?
I'm taking away that I fit into several of the categories, but I never really thought about all of the other categories that are so rich. You know, there's just like low-hanging fruit ready to be plucked. So I loved the categories. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Hannelore.
Awesome, thanks. And Sandra, what about you? What are you taking away?
I think this is the first time that I've heard the humor styles articulated so specifically. And that actually resonates with me because I know my style. I know it's okay. It helps me identify where I can work, where my strengths are, and just go with it rather than try to be humorous in a way that just doesn't feel great or feel comfortable with me. So I really like that. I appreciated it a lot. Thank you.
Love it. And I love those glasses. If I could have those glasses, I would. Sorry, go ahead, Lindy. I love her glasses.
I got them because they were fun.
Exactly. They're fun. Exactly. It's going to be my wedding present. Watch, see what I tell you. I'm be like, babe, I'm going to need you to look at these. Go ahead. Next.
Thanks, Sandra. And Vanessa, I know you're a guest, but tell us what you're taking away today, if you'd unmute and tell us.
Oh, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. Just what I wanted to do. I've been procrastinating about the engaging humour path that I signed up for about 2 years ago. I can't even do the first one, which is the first one of level 2, find your humour. So it was really wonderful. Thank you. I still don't know what I am, but I guess it's work in progress, and I'd love to know what the next tips could be to help. Is there a quiz or something that would help with that? But so thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Outstanding. Yes, there is, Vanessa. There's certain, I didn't have time to put, I have a slide pack that gets into how do you know what you are? But of course that would have ran over time. So yeah, most definitely there is something there, and I'll include it in the notes just for you guys.
All right, and that's in the $299 course that she's not selling.
100%. I need to pay for my wedding, guys. Yeah, it's low price of $299. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Melanie, can you come and tell us what you've taking away today? I know you're off camera.
Thanks once again for inviting me today. Excellent session. I really liked how you engaged and interact with everyone and then showed us or demonstrated the styles, because that really made me think about it and how it relates to me. So appreciate that. And I think I can work on humor myself, which I'm not good at, but I'll get better at with practice.
Absolutely, you will. I'm positive. Start with that smile and keep going. Keep going.
Marvelous, Melanie. And seeing it's 8:32, I'm going to pass control back to our president, Emmy Bartholomew, to wrap things up tonight.
Oh, thank you, Lindy. My, what a lovely evening. It was really a lot of fun, and we were just blessed to have Yolanda. I will get that.
Thank you.
I will get that. If it takes me all night. And so we've been very fortunate to have her with us, especially since today, well, not today, but next week, the 22nd, which is Tuesday, is our 18th birthday for pro speaking.
Awesome.
Yay, we're 18 years
Awesome.
old. So happy birthday, everybody.
Y'all can drink. No, that's not what that is. Keep going. Keep going. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't drink.
No drinking.
Don't drink. Don't drink.
Well, it depends on which one to drink.
Exactly. Drink juice if you got it. Drink juice if you got it.
Drink juice.
Juice.
All right. All right. Oh, do we have any more guests that would like to just say something about did you check in with all the guests, Lindy?
No, I didn't because of time. I didn't.
There's too many?
Bill or Primavera left. Jim has been off camera because of connectivity issues, but he might be able to say something. Ask him. And Camille.
Jim, oh, I didn't even realize you were here. Yes.
Yeah.
Give us a little feedback here, Jim.
Yeah, I have to study a lot about humor because, as you know, in Britain, we are born without the funny bone. So
oh no,
I have to work on that.
That's funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
You are funny, sir. I don't even know who you are. I only have to see your face to know just from your voice. You have humor. I know it for a fact. Oh, look at this. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna help. I remember Jim. Okay. Jim's funny. Do not let Jim
and
convince you he's not
I
funny.
have seen enough British shows that are so funny that
absolutely funny.
They're very good at deadpan, though. I do have to say that. A lot of deadpan.
Extremely good.
British humor.
Extremely good. That's hilarious. That was hilarious.
Okay. So our next meeting for this club, professionally speaking, will be the first Thursday of the month, and we will have our usual speeches and lots of feedback for people. So I'm hoping that all of you love to come back and just see what you think of one of our normal meetings. You probably really enjoy it. Great. So I've been there. Yeah, you've been there. Yes. Yeah, yes. Anything else for the good of the order before I call this to a close here?
I just
Anybody
want to
have any-
applaud Yolanda and thank her. That was a great presentation.
Thank you, Terry.
I think Sandra is Toastmasters of our next meeting. Is there anything you want to say about the next meeting, Sandra?
Oh, thank you for asking, Lindy. Just a reminder, if you haven't signed up for a role now, there are great opportunities for you to keep on learning and honing your skills. So please sign up. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So I will get on there and sign up. Yes. All righty. Well, I guess I'm going to wind this up. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up for Yolanda's wonderful workshop for us. I'll look forward to all of those notes that you have for us, Yolanda.
You don't want to
All
plug
right.
the area speech contest tomorrow?
Oh my gosh, how could I not do that? I'm in it.
Oops.
Oops. Yes, the area speech contest is tomorrow for our local 4 or 5. Yeah, we have 3 areas. We're doing a combined area speech contest. So it should be a lot of fun, a lot of good speeches. So it's at 6 p.m. tomorrow. If you're interested, Lindy, can we put the link to that in the chat?
You could if I had it, but I don't. So.
That's right. You're not in our area this time. Actually,
I have
I
it.
did. Oh, good. So I'm gonna put that in the chat, and then you can save the chat and go and sign up. It is something you have to register for, and then they will send you a link. I've already registered. Can't imagine why. So there's several of us who will be in that. So come and see us do our best to represent pro speaking.
Are you competing this year, Yolanda?
No.
Nah, I was planning on it, and this poet thing took off. So
And you're getting married.
Oh, and yeah, and we're gonna do a big Facebook announcement because we have quite a following on Clubhouse. I have over 1,000 followers. He has over 1,000 followers. So we're gonna make it a big event, but
all right,
probably gonna be married before then. I mean, we're not waiting. Like I said, we're at an age where it's like, you want to get married? Yeah, you want to get married? Sure. Where are we going? What are we doing? So yeah, it's just for the purposes of the crowd. But yeah, consider us married. We're going to the doggone courthouse tomorrow. We're just gonna do this. He's stuck with me. You're not going anywhere. And I'm not going anywhere. So why not do life together? It's just like that.
Why not?
Why not? I like him a little. Like, you like your spouse? Shoot, yeah, I want to marry you. I like you. You know how many people that they like? So yeah. Anyway, I clicked on the link and it didn't take me to the little thing that I thought it would take me to. Thought it was going to take me to
which link? The area contest or the
area contest? Yeah, it's taking me to a launch link instead of the little link.
Yeah, it didn't take us to the. We don't want the Zoom link to. We want the
Eventbrite sign up.
Eventbrite sign up. So
because I'll
launch.
Yeah,
it launched it. Oops, wrong thing. Okay, so I know I have a copy of it, so I'm going to go get it.
In the meantime, we will be officially adjourned if anyone has to leave. If you want to stay and chat, we're here still. So, and for those of you I didn't give a chance to give a voice to, Camille, we'd love to hear what you think. I was just trying to guard people's time. How was the time for you, Camille? There at your circus.
I figured I talked enough. I thought it was great. I like the different types of humor, and I think I'm going to walk away today with a couple of llama hairs in my teeth. So that's fine.
I love it. I love it. No, I can't say that. See, I have to watch.
Yes. Okay, it's in the chat now, you guys.
Cool. My brain.
Like somebody else did it too. So we've got two of them in there now.
Cool beans.
All right.
I am going to register. And I'm gonna see if I can go in there. I have 2 other events. I'm just gonna double hat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What the heck? Just kind of have them side by side. And,
exactly. And have my phone.
Pick which one you're gonna listen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be doing anything but listening. So
you could show up in your wedding dress. And we might think you're the contest toastmaster.
I got it. So I got it in there. Yeah, from Amazon.
All right.
Pick that up.
You have to register if we're contestants.
No, I'm sure they send
no.
you the link directly.
It's the same. It's the same link. But when you go, it asks you whether you're a contestant or you're just a guest or what you are.
Okay.
So. Yeah, that reminds me, I have to sign my husband up. I want him to go. All right.
Thanks,
Yolanda,
everyone. It was a
thanks.
great evening. I have to head out.
Thanks for coming, Jim. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. It's wonderful to see each of you. And Yolanda, thanks for staying up so late to come entertain us and to educate us.
Oh, look, Camille has
Always a
a
pleasure.
carnival now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yolanda, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Yolanda, I really like how you're so comfortable in your own skin and just, giving us so much humor. I was just wondering about your journey and how do you bring out that comfortness and being in your own skin and just engaging?
Yeah, that was a journey. There's a scripture in the Bible, a merry heart does good like a medicine. I think that if we took more of humor, our entire lives would be different. I have gone through a ton of stuff. I talk about it in a lot of my platforms. I talk about my journey and what I've gone through. I was in an abusive marriage, got out of the abusive marriage after he helped me, he cheated. So I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Ended up with Jeremy after being told I couldn't have any more kids. And then he turned out to be autistic. And then I had to start all over again. If you don't find a reason to laugh at life, you will cry. And if you cry, you know, people are going to either pity you or they're going to be wanting to hug you, but that you will get no joy out of it. So I'm comfortable because I know that I am pulling people out of craziness out there, and I'm putting a smile on their face. I'm giving them a reason to smile. And I used to think there is no man crazy enough to want to marry someone like me, because I am not normal. I know I'm not. I work for Shell. I'm the most non-traditional project manager they have there. I'm a poet. I'm the most non-traditional poet. I'm a speaker. If you've seen me speak, I am the most non-traditional speaker. When I was in the semifinals, I had on a different color. Everybody had on black. Why am I going to do that? I wore color. So I don't do things according to the norm. If you are going to be somebody else, then they're not seeing the wonderful person that is you. I want them to have Yolanda. There's only one of me. They should get a full dose. So I am that way because I'm unapologetic about who God has made me. He made me with a purpose, for a purpose. I would be cheating him if I were not coming to the table full of Yolanda. And I've decided a long time ago not to cheat him. I tell my kids the same thing, to be unapologetically them. Now that may mean that they come in on me. That may mean that, you know, they become the jokester during my speeches and so forth, but that's okay with me. I've decided the type of speaker I am, you're going to get some interruptions. This is my life, people. And if you watch me, I'm a minister as well. I do Bible studies on waiting as a single Christian. And I say that to them all the time. Hey, listen, I have a child. They know that. And you may get a face. If you get a face, I'm going to keep going, but we may get interrupted and it's okay. I've learned to let people into my life as it is. And if they're here, they're okay with it. So some of these people have seen me before and wanted me to come back. Oh, they know who Yolanda is.
Beautifully, well said. Thank you, Yolanda. So much takeaway for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You inspire me a lot. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you. I appreciate it.